The sun blazes over the red dust of the Australian outback, June 3, 2025, at the Sunburnt Scales Wildlife Park near Darwin. The air shimmers with heat, carrying the tang of brackish water. Ethan Walsh, a 36-year-old caretaker with sun-bleached hair and a crooked grin, stands on the muddy bank of a crocodile enclosure, a bucket of fish swinging in his hand. Bara, a 16-foot, 1,200-pound saltwater crocodile, lurks in the murky water, his yellow eyes glinting like coins. The crowd, tourists in hats, kids with ice creams, leans forward, phones raised, as Ethan tosses a fish. Then, a ripple, a surge, a flash of jaws. Bara lunges, water explodes, and Ethan's scream rips through the air as teeth clamp his leg, dragging him under. In seconds, the cheers turn to shrieks, and the outback claims another soul. I'm Lisa Campbell, and for 2 decades, I've chased the raw, primal line where humans and wild animals collide, where trust meets terror, and the truth cuts like a blade. Today, we're in the sun-scorched heart of Australia's Northern Territory, at Sunburnt Scales Wildlife Park, where a single moment on a blistering June day in 2025 turned a routine feeding into a tragedy. This is the story of Ethan Walsh, a devoted caretaker, and Bara, a saltwater crocodile whose power was caged for our amusement. What pushes a predator to strike the hand that feeds it? Have you ever stood close to a wild creature, felt the awe and the fear? Share your thoughts in the comments as we dive into this heart-shattering tale. Ethan Walsh grew up in a small town outside Darwin, where the horizon stretched red and endless, and crocodiles were both legend and threat. At 28, he joined Sunburnt Scales Wildlife Park, a 100-acre attraction drawing 300,000 visitors a year with its promise of untamed outback thrills. Ethan's days started at dawn, hauling fish, scrubbing enclosures, and tending to the park's 6 saltwater crocodiles. He loved Bara, a 20-year-old male with a scarred snout from a poacher's trap, his massive tail flicking with quiet menace. He's like an old mate, Ethan would say to his partner, Mia Carter, his eyes bright with affection. Bara, captured in the Mary River at age 5, had spent 15 years in a 60-foot-long, man-made lagoon, its muddy banks lined with concrete and wire. He was the park's star, lunging for fish in the Croc feeding frenzy show, his jaws snapping to the delight of crowds who paid $40 for tickets and $150 for Croc cage dives. But Ethan saw the signs others missed: Bara's restless thrashing, the way he'd snap at the water when tourists banged the railing, the low bellows at night. Sunburnt Scales, owned by entrepreneur Greg Hammond, prioritized profit, daily shows, loudspeakers, and packed schedules. Safety was patchy, fences sagged, training was rushed, and caretakers earned $900 a week for grueling shifts. Ethan dreamed of a sanctuary, a place where Bara could rest, but told Mia, "We're stuck making him perform." June 2025 brought a punishing heat wave to the Northern Territory, temperatures soaring to 38 degrees Celsius (100 degrees Fahrenheit), the air thick with dust and humidity. Bara grew agitated, thrashing in his lagoon, refusing fish, his eyes tracking every movement. Vets noted a skin infection from the stagnant water, but Hammond shrugged it off, "He's tough as nails." Ethan logged his concerns in a battered notebook. May 29, Bara lunged at the gate. June 1, bellowed all night. He begged for a day off for the Croc, just shade and quiet. "Shows bring the crowds," Ethan, his supervisor, Tom Bradley, snapped. "No shows, no pay." June 3 dawned hotter than ever, the park buzzing with 700 visitors, tourists from Sydney, backpackers from Europe, a school group from Alice Springs. Ethan worked the morning shift, sweat staining his khaki shirt, his bucket heavy with mullet. Bara's lagoon shimmered, the water murky, the crowd rowdy, kids tossed pebbles, a drone buzzed 4 epic shots. Mia later recalled, he said, "Bara's on edge today. I told him to watch himself." At 2:30 p.m., the Croc feeding frenzy loomed. Bara would lunge for fish, snap his jaws, and thrill the crowd. Ethan approached the bank, his boots sinking in mud, his heart heavy with a nagging unease. At 2:35 p.m., the show's music blared, a pulsing didgeridoo track vibrating the air. Ethan stood on the muddy bank, bucket in hand, the crowd of 700 roaring behind a low fence. He tossed a fish, Bara's eyes locked on it, his body coiled beneath the surface. "Here we go, mate," Ethan called, his voice steady but tight. The crowd cheered, phones flashing, kids shouting, "Croc! Croc!" Then, a ripple, too fast, too close. Bara surged, water exploding in a muddy spray, his jaws gaping, teeth like ivory spikes. Ethan stepped back, but the Croc's tail whipped, knocking him off balance. His foot slipped in the mud, and Bara struck, clamping his leg with a bone-crunching snap. Ethan's scream, raw, desperate, cut through as he was dragged into the lagoon, water churning, blood clouding the surface. The crowd screamed, parents yanked kids away, phones dropped in the dirt. Bara thrashed, rolling Ethan under, his arms flailing, then still. In 8 seconds, a life was gone, and the outback roared its indifference. Panic swept sunburnt scales. Visitors fled, a mother sobbing, "Why didn't they stop it?" Guards fired tranquilizer darts, but Bara sank into the lagoon, Ethan's body limp in the shallows. Medics arrived at 2:40 p.m., but it was too late, massive trauma, exsanguination. Ethan was pronounced dead, his leg nearly severed. Bara was netted, moved to a holding pen, his bellows haunting the silence. Mia Carter, Ethan's partner, collapsed at the park, clutching his hat, whispering, "He loved that Croc." The media erupted. "Crocodile kills caretaker in outback horror," blared the Australian. "Death at sunburnt scales, was safety ignored?" asked Sydney Morning Herald. Social media exploded, #Bara the Killer trended, some demanding his destruction, others his freedom. "Cages make killers," posted at Outback Truth, gaining 110,000 likes. Australia's Department of Environment and Energy fined sunburnt scales $200,000 for inadequate safety measures and launched a probe. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a reptile behaviorist, told ABC News, "Saltwater crocodiles are apex predators, not performers. Stress and confinement trigger aggression. This was preventable." Greg Hammond deflected, "Ethan knew the risks. Crocs are wild, not pets." Protests swelled outside the park, signs reading "Free Bara, end the shows." A petition to close sunburnt scales hit 280,000 signatures. Mia, voice shaking, told NT News, "Ethan gave everything to those animals. They owed him better." Ethan's death lays bare a brutal truth: we cage the wild for our entertainment, and the price is blood. Saltwater crocodiles like Bara, built to hunt across vast estuaries, are confined to murky lagoons, their instincts stifled but never tamed. The global wildlife park industry, worth billions, thrives on our thirst for thrills, feeding shows, cage dives, Instagram moments, while ignoring the toll. IUCN estimates fewer than 100,000 saltwater crocodiles remain in the wild, yet we trap them for profit, blind to their stress, infections, and primal drives. Sunburnt scales grind, daily shows, neglected injuries, overworked staff, mirrors a systemic failure. We cheer the snaps, ignore the bellows, and call it fun. Ethan's blood stains our arrogance, our belief we can control an apex predator. What hubris lets us cage a 1,200-pound hunter for our applause? This tragedy demands we rethink our role. Do we need these shows, or are we the ones trapped by our own greed? I'm Lisa Campbell, and after 300 stories, this one claws at me. I see Ethan's grin in photos, his love for Bara in every notebook entry, and I ache for Mia, left to carry on without him. I hear Bara's bellows, not of malice but of a creature caged, his wild heart broken. As a journalist, I unearth the facts, lax safety, corporate pressure, ignored warnings, but as a human, I'm undone. I've stood by crocodile pens, felt the weight of their gaze, sensed the power we provoke. Why do we demand these animals perform for us? Could better care, fewer shows, have saved Ethan? I'm haunted by his scream, the blood in the water, and a truth we dodge: we're the invaders here. What could have stopped this tragedy? Tell me in the comments. I need your voice to make sense of this loss. Ethan Walsh's life vanished in a crocodile's jaws, his blood a testament to a bond we shattered for profit. Bara lurks still, confined, his bellows a cry we may never heed. This isn't just their story, it's ours. We built the pens, sold the tickets, and cheered the show. Now, a man is gone, a family grieves, and a predator bears the blame. As the sun sets over sunburnt scales, I hear Bara's rumble, a reminder: the wild will not be tamed without a cost. Let's honor Ethan, demand better, for caretakers, for animals, for us. Like, subscribe, and tell me below, how do we end this cycle? Because if we don't, the next snap of jaws might claim us all.